GT Channel with Sam Itani, James McKeon, and Taro Koki.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Podspeed number 27. So we're slowly working our way up to 30, and three of us at least. I don't know about our guests, but we're coming to you from Southern California, where pretty much the whole state is on fire right now. The sky's brown and everything, but we're all safe. Joining me today is, as usual, James McKeon from No Breaking Podcast. Hi, James.
Hey, Sam.
Back
Hello,
from
everyone out there.
vacation.
Yes, back from the road trip. I made it back safe and sound.
Yeah, you look disappointed because I actually pronounced your name correctly.
No, it's still
you were
not correctly.
close.
Still not correctly, Sam, but we'll get there eventually. I mean, it's
We're-
only
we're
27 episodes in. One day you'll get there.
99% there, yeah.
Then we got Taro Koki, producer and president of GT Channels, makes these Podspeeds happen.
Hello, everyone.
And then my favorite guy with two last names, Rutledge Wood, is our guest today. You NASCAR boys and not top speed. What?
Oh, my word, Sam.
Here,
What on earth are you doing?
I'm sorry, I blanked out. Top Gear America.
I just want you to know what
I
I think what happened, Sam.
Jeremy Clarkson, Tanner
start.
Faust, Rutledge Wood, all you guys, your faces just came right in front of me.
You were so good with the two last name thing that it shook me to the core. I giggled so
awesome.
much, and I think it maybe just that's when the plane went down. I thought you were great.
I was so good. I forgot what the heck I was going to say next. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I was like, all right, NASCAR. We're getting NASCAR in there. Can he see
got
like
NASCAR.
the idlers? Can he see from my RWB? Like, where's he going next? Where's Sam going? And then we hit the
Went
mountain.
downhill, yeah.
Well,
Hey, thanks for having me.
Rutledge, we'll close with barbecue. That's all I got to say. All right, Taro,
Perfect.
you found our guest. You take it away, man.
All right. So today we have one of the coolest car guys on TV today, Mr. Rutledge Wood. Hey, so are you still doing the NASCAR analyst stuff right now?
Yes.
Even during all this stuff going on?
No, it's a little different right now. Like some of the tracks have a few thousand fans, some of them don't have any. So we've been doing a lot more stuff with NBC and NASCAR and NBC remotely. So my big thing was this is one of those times when we need to hold the NASCAR fans closer than we ever have because it's hard for them to see it, to feel it, be up close. And y'all know, pick any motorsport event. Let's pick drifting. Watching Formula D on the live cast is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Nowhere near the experience of being there, seeing it, smelling it, feeling it. It's a totally different thing. Well, NASCAR is that same way. 180 miles an hour or almost 200 miles an hour at some tracks, that sensation of speed gets so easily lost on a big TV, and the cameras are so good now, it's hard. So I said, hey, let's try harder to get NASCAR fans in the broadcast and make them feel a part of it. So we've been doing a lot of that where we try to show pictures and see how people are watching and how they connect. So I am going to the Bristol race in a few weeks, which will be fun, Saturday night. That's the first time I've been to a track since Indy is the only track I've been to past like the Daytona 24-hour race this year. So I went for the Brickyard. I was there for the 500. And y'all know, like, it's the largest sporting venue in the world, and there was just us there. Like, it was beyond weird, but still you felt the power of that place. It was really neat.
Right. And everyone, you guys know Rutledge was also the host of Top Gear USA. So yeah, I didn't mess that up, Sam. You got a lot of things going on. You had Hyperdrive. Your lava. The floor is lava. My kids love that show.
Thank you.
Yeah. Congrats on your success. But let's start with Top Gear, right? I think everyone learned about you from Top Gear first. So my first question about Top Gear is, how's that baller house Tanner has? Have you been to his house? I mean, the car has an elevator. What is going on?
I mean, have I been there? Yes. Here's the funny part. Tanner stayed at my house last night, and we don't even have a guest room. Like, we just cleaned off the couch, and I made him sleep there instead of going back to his hotel room. Tanner was building that house while we were shooting Top Gear. I just want y'all to know, I grew up in Alabama. I've been in Atlanta since I was 15. And Top Gear found me, honestly, through a YouTube video that I had done for NASCAR. And one of our producers, this guy named John Hessling, saw it and thought I might be funny. and maybe we'll give this guy a shot. So the whole time I go out there, y'all, I knew I had no chance of getting this. So I was like, I'm going to go have the time of my life. All of these people show up that were like a big deal that had agents and stuff. And they called me and I hung up on them when they called because I thought it was a friend prank calling me. So fast forward to like the first day, Tanner walks onto set where we were, I guess auditioning. And I look at all these other, like, I've tried to say hello and be friendly. And I was like, do you guys know who that is? Y'all know? Yo, that's Tanner Faust. And they were all like, I don't know what it is. I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's a Formula Drift champ, supercars exposed. Like, I went on, and all these dudes are just like, I don't know who it is. I was like, this is my guy. So we hit it off day one, and he's still one of my closest friends. But yeah, he has a gosh, it's like sometimes you're like, if I could come back as somebody else, I think I'd want to come back as Tanner Faust. Like, what a rad time he has in life. It's a beautiful thing.
So he had the job before you had it. I mean, did you have to audition for that particular part?
Yes, and so he was on the original pilot that they did for NBC. It was him, Corolla, and I think the guy's name is Eric Stromer, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Who's a really nice guy. I've never met him, but everybody says he's great, and of course, love Corolla, despite how crazy he is. But yeah, so Tanner was on the pilot, and a lot of people, it's funny when you hear, I knew our greatest criticism was going to be, of course, like all of us, I loved Top Gear UK. And so when they said, what's going to make this show succeed or fail? And I said, well, if you try to be the three of them, you're going to fail. And turns out that's what the pilot did. And that's why it didn't work. And a lot of people, I would see their criticisms of like, oh, y'all should have gotten Corolla or Leno, or you guys should have done, and you're always like, it just, you can't pretend to be the three of them. It's not going to work. So it was, I feel like Tanner was probably always a shoe-in, but to be honest, you never really knew. And we met with a bunch of different people. The first time they put us with Ferrara, something definitely clicked because Adam is so much fun, but he's also bananas behind the wheel. And y'all know we have tons of friends that love cars. It doesn't make you great at driving just because you love cars. Mm-hmm. So I was always clear, like, he's not a great driver. I didn't like riding with him on the street. I still don't, but he's a lovely guy. He's one of my favorite people in the world and still one of my closest friends. So it just was so much fun, man. We watched the very first show last night with my daughters. Oh, wow. And it was Cobra Attack, where we're getting chased by a Cobra Attack helicopter in a Viper convertible down in Griffin, Georgia. Which is like,
I saw that episode. That's right. Yeah, I remember.
Man, it was hilarious. Like, I was probably 40 pounds heavier, maybe 45 pounds heavier. He looked like he was in middle school. Like, it's just hilarious when you look back on it. And my daughters have never seen that stuff. Like, our oldest is 12. We have a 10-year-old and a 6-year-old. So of course, like, they saw every show, Every Floor is Lava, which is where the painting of me came from. But now they're kind of getting to see a totally different side of it, because now they can kind of understand, like, oh, Dad went to Iceland, or they did the Rubicon Trail. It was just time of my life, man. It was so much fun.
What's your favorite episode that you guys had to?
That's really hard, man. It was 7 years of our lives together.
Yeah.
And we just went on so many adventures. Iceland is definitely like top 3, because we got to see the Northern Lights, and we got to the top of this volcano that had a glacier on top of it. And by the way, with insurance and all the stuff you have to do, they said we needed an escape plan, right? Because they said this volcano has gone off every 50 years like clockwork, except it's 20 years overdue. So seismically, they think it'll go any day now. And you're like, yeah. So if it goes off, you guys have 3 hours to get down. And we're like, 3 hours? It took us 3 days to get up here. What am I going to do with 3 hours? Kiss my ass goodbye, I guess. I don't know what else you do with 3 hours, but that one was amazing. I mean, the Rubicon Trail was insane, and that poor 4Runner that I rolled. But also, like, driving 1,000 horsepower Petty Blue Dodge Challenger is hard to beat. I just loved all of them. They were so much fun.
You got to drive on the Nürburgring too. I remember that episode.
Okay, that one was pretty baller, because of all the things that we make fun of Tanner for being. Tanner's the only guy in history that I know who ever picked up the phone and called and got the Nürburgring shut down for 3 hours just for us.
Oh my
God.
God.
And it was the coolest thing. And have y'all all been? Have you guys all been to the Nürburgring?
Oh yeah, I've been there like 5 times. Yeah.
Of
No,
course,
Sam,
Sam
you
has.
know.
Sam, of course, Sam has.
Like Nürburgring,
Well,
what?
Sam, wouldn't you agree? It to me was like living in a video game. It was just such an experience because every hill, even though if you know the track, by the way, like I still don't know how some of these people can know this track as well as you do, because every hill is a blind hill. Every turn feels like a blind turn. And it's just the most, I mean, at 180 miles an hour, you can't process what's happening most of the time.
I wasn't going quite that fast, but I learned the track on Gran Turismo before I went. So
Sure.
it helped a lot. So yeah.
It was
But,
amazing.
Watching. How many turns is it? It's like 200. It's like hundreds of corners, right? So that's a lot of corners to memorize on one run. So
it's a ton, man. It was so much. And as soon as we wrapped up, they run it like a toll road. So we would see grandmas out there in minivans, and you can rent cool cars to go out there. Well, we saw this guy in a Ferrari who was trying to keep up with the Mini Cooper as we were doing like our closing stand-up right up against this guardrail, because we use a driving school that's there. We use kind of their property, and we kept seeing this Mini Cooper was going harder and harder into that last right-hand turn after the big backstretch, and this Ferrari he couldn't hit the turn the same way the Mini Cooper did. Well, one time he stuck it in there, and that Mini Cooper made the turn, and the Ferrari did not, and he is slamming up against the guardrail both sides behind us as we're trying to do our stand-up. He's fine, but then they shut the whole thing down, and there's like tow trucks now coming in slow. Like, it was just a comedy of errors. And the Mini Cooper guy, I don't think he ever knew what happened. He was like, oh, I wonder where the Ferrari went. Then they shut it down. And they do like an accident investigation after that because it's a toll road. It's the craziest thing ever.
Did you guys get that on tape? In the background?
We did. They didn't use any of that because it was like,
well, I'm sure
this is kind of weird.
Yeah.
Because we didn't have the full connecting shots of what this guy had just done, but it was awesome.
And you have some of these cars that you drove in the show in your garage. We'll get to your garage later, but you have some of these cars, some of these unique cars, right?
I did. I don't know if I have any of them left now. I did that thing where I found out that we couldn't sell them to the public. Okay. So they were scrapping a bunch of stuff. And then I was like, well, if you can't sell them to the public, couldn't you sell them to me? Because I'll sign paperwork for it. And they're like, sure. So I bought a bunch of weird stuff for cheap.
Got it. So let's talk about like how you got into the auto space. So were you always a car guy growing up?
Oh yeah, car guy was an understatement. Like in high school, they called us the car jocks. Like we skated. I was a terrible skateboarder, but I still skated and played with cars. But my dad grew up on Route 66, and he's the reason that I got into cars and loved him so much. But I'd always go to the grocery store anytime my mom went, and I would just go to the magazine aisle, and I would read. Y'all are probably the same way. I'd read, Lowrider, Muscle Mustangs, Fast Forwards. I'd read anything I could. And then you'd if you were feeling fancy, you'd end on like the DuPont registry. So you could stare at some like weird slant nose Gimbalas and stuff and just thought like, how do people do this? So I just soaked up everything because I loved all of it so much. And I went to school at the University of Georgia, studied marketing there. And I always knew that I felt like TV and cars were what I wanted to do because I love people. I love cars. It felt like TV was the best way that I could make the most people smile at one time as possible. But I didn't know if it was going to work. And I guess I was just ready to give it a shot and see if I could succeed or fail at that. My first job out of school was Country Music Television. I did mobile marketing for them. The irony is that I quit after like 8 months because I didn't want to travel so much. Okay. And then that's all I've done since then. But yeah, I ended up finding a job on Craigslist, and it said it was a national motorsports network that was looking for an on-site marketing rep and someone that could be an MC. And I'd hosted karaoke. I'd worked at a radio station on air. I'd just done a bunch of weird things. And so I was like, hey, maybe this is my shot. Now, I didn't know that it was for NASCAR. I didn't know it was for Speed Channel. In my mind, I listed all the different things. It could be drag racing, could be drift, Indy. I was like, well, whatever it is, I'm going to send my stuff in. And then 2 weeks later, I was at the Daytona 500, and that was 2005. So it's funny, I was always an import guy, like sport compact car and reading, Kojima and Dave and everybody. Like that was always that was like my Bible. Y'all know, like that was such a big time. And then watching Super Street take off and kind of all of those. I was at the Nopi Nationals when they handed out the first Super Street for free in '97, I think was when that one came out.
Right.
With the Airborne Integra on the cover.
Was Rich Chang the guy, or John Naderi was the editor at that time already?
I don't think Nancy was.
Yeah,
I was gonna say Nancy didn't. I bet it was the first guy. Yeah, because I had that was like what started. Was it? Oh gosh, I can't remember the name on the windshield of that car. It's something with a K.
I don't even remember it. Was that?
I can't remember what that. Yeah,
I can't remember.
But there was like a club, right? Kasuko or I can't. Whatever it was the first one, and then
oh yeah, it's like
see, this is why we're nerds, because we can totally, like, you can see, you're like, okay, it's a DA Integra, one piece headlights, had a little bit of it, had like a white and yellow vinyl interior, which was weird, but not that weird at the time. You thought this would be cool.
Holy
so
cow,
anyway,
how do you remember that? You are a geek.
I am. I absolutely, because I read that over and over and over, because it was everything that I'd ever like wanted. Y'all know, like, people, I think, saw how much stuff and I still do a lot of work with Toyota, but like I always dreamed about the Toyota Pro Celebrity Race, because as a kid we didn't have cable, but I always saw that race, right? Like they are cars that you see on the street racing on a track with people that you know from TV and movies. I was like, this is the greatest race of all time. So in my mind, like that was kind of like always the top of the mountain. And then loving imports, always been into Toyotas because I could afford to buy them, work on them, insure them. And that was like where my love of it came from. But I spent way more time working on Hondas early on and Volkswagens, going to junkyards and stuff than I did anything else. But it was kind of all those things together. So I show up working in NASCAR as like a hip hop and like pop punk lover that had worked for country music television. Now I'm an import guy at the greatest like redneck sport of all time, essentially, racing in NASCAR. And day one, I fell in love because y'all know, like currently we use a 67 Chevy truck suspension for the rear, right? That being said, it's like aerospace technology within that framework. So it's crazy to see, I remember the debate, like, should we go fuel injection? Should we not? And the whole time I'm like, y'all, if we go fuel injected, the tuners that I know and I've watched make, 1,200 horsepower GTRs, they're going to get into this sport and it's going to blow people's minds when they realize how much this stuff can pay it forward. And they're like, oh no, we're going to have McLaren do all that because all these guys will cheat their asses off and we don't want that. But I don't know. It's kind of funny that was how I sort of came into all of it, was just working on cars, loving them. Playing with them in the junkyard. And then for work, I started traveling with NASCAR. And then in 2006, they gave me a shot on air and I started doing more stuff. And then in 2007 was when they found the clip that I had done. Now, it's funny. A race fan that I don't know loaded onto YouTube illegally this clip of me on Speed Channel doing something for the show Race Day. I don't know who it is. I don't know who they were, but it was with John Schneider from the Dukes of Hazzard. It was at Atlanta Motor Speedway. And I basically just spent the whole interview asking him about Daisy. And since it wasn't like his real cousin, you guys probably went to dinner or whatever. And so this guy, John Hessling's watching in the UK, looking for people to be on Top Gear. And he was looking at every person that had been on cars, been on TV for cars in like the last 10 years, saw this and thought I might be funny. And that's how I came to the world of Top Gear.
That's awesome. So I used to actually pit report for the American Le Mans series. So the first day, I got, I was put on the job is probably like you. I mean, they put a mic, headphones and mic, and they just put me out there. First day on the job, I'm walking pit lane at Sebring. That was like my first race because their Super Bowl starts at the beginning of the season at Sebring. Right. 12 hours.
Yeah. So, talk about intimidating for the record.
My God, I was
the cars alone, dude. I'm sure you were like, wait. Not only are these cars next level and could, if given enough space, they could leave the Earth's atmosphere. They're also driven by some of the biggest names in sport car racing ever.
Yeah. Oh, it was just crazy. So what was it like for the first day for you to actually, be walking around pit lane and like, having to interview people, right on pit lane?
It's crazy. What's wild is that I would run this stage that Speed Channel have where I would ride around the campgrounds and tell people, hey, here's when we're doing shows, come hang with us. And you don't know what one of these drivers means to people until you see the most passionate fans in the world shouting Dale Jr.'s name or Elliott Sadler or any of the drivers that were there, and you saw this connection. And that was the first time for me. And I was like, oh, wow, this is huge. These fans see something in themselves in these drivers. Yeah. And it's funny because I also there was an event they did at Fontana years ago that was where they paired NASCAR drivers up with pro drifters and they put them in some drift cars and they went around. And I had pitched this months beforehand. I was like, y'all gotta let me go. These are my two worlds. This will be awesome. And I think it was in 2006, maybe in 07, 08. But they were like, yeah, nobody cares. I was like, guys, you're wrong. Everyone's gonna love this. And so they sent my coworker. So my friend Wendy shows up and she's like, do you know anything about these cars? And I was like, yes, I do. Where should we begin? So it's funny, you see through all these different things, it's also incredibly segregated because people don't understand. I've always been fascinated. IMSA has the easiest chance of success, I think, of any race series in the world because the cars they race look like cars you can buy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Stock cars aren't stock anymore, right? Drift cars all look like the raddest Hot Wheels version of any car you could ever make. I mean, they look like superheroes. Right. In the same way, a Pro 2 truck doesn't look anything like the Tundra that you can buy at the dealership. But, truck series do look like trucks. Those are cool. But, Xfinity and Cup series, those cars don't look the same. IMSA's got this huge advantage, but it also has one of the smallest audiences for watching them, which is so weird to me. So it's, it's a fascinating world. I think we saw this year with running IndyCar and NASCAR at the Brickyard the same weekend was pretty dang cool, man. I loved being there for both of them. I just wish the fans could have been there with us.
So I know you're a big drifting fan. Did you see St. Louis this past weekend?
No, I was watching the clips because we had Kentucky Derby on Saturday and then the Darlington race on Saturday. So I didn't get to see either, but I was so pumped to know, because I do so much stuff with Toyota Racing, to know how long Steph and the team had worked on that GR Supra, to see it come out and win the first event was huge. But my buddy Turk in that hatchback, in the Corolla, how cool was that? I think is Turk leading the points right now?
I think he's joined first.
I think he is. Yeah,
that's unbelievable. With, and just couldn't. And Odie, man, what a weekend Odie had too, right? I was so pumped for those guys, and like so many of us, Jared is one of my favorite people on the planet. So it's funny how many times I will be watching FD somewhere in a hotel on my iPad while I'm watching the race or I'm a part of the race. But man, what a great showing. And we got one of my buddies, Taylor Hull, who is from just down the road from me.
You did great.
Taylor. Yeah, man, what an awesome week. He made, I think that was the first time he made Sweet 16.
Yeah.
And it's such a good reminder because I think so many of us have been fans of this sport for so long that you see some of the bigger kind of teams and the financial backing is sometimes that difference. A couple hundred horsepower is difference between reliability. It can be all of these different kind of things, but see a guy like Taylor show up and still make Sweet 16 gives you this a huge sense of pride. I mean, what's Jeff? What's Jeff's name? He runs it. He's running 350Z.
God, I can't. What's his name?
I'm a nerd who's turning into
I know.
dad,
I don't
can't remember.
But Taylor, for example, I think it was actually his first time to make top 16.
Yes.
Right.
And his wife Tamara's there, she's in tears.
Yeah. I mean, he was getting emotional too. He was getting interviewed and he was getting emotional on camera, and it's it just shows how passionate these guys are about it, but how hard it is for a guy that's been trying for so long and to finally just be able to make top 16 just shows the level of those top guys, and
absolutely. But look at Chelsea Denofa. He's just a dude that loved to eat 36s and 46s, and now he's on the biggest stage in the world for it. And I think the way that I watch guys like him interact with people, and I mean, there's so many drivers that I think are just from Rad, Dan, Matt, you name it, like Odie, they're great people that love just putting on a show and going out there. But doing Hyperdrive for me was such a great reminder of the talent that exists out there that we don't see every weekend. Guys like Fielding Shredder, who with the right program could go out there and compete every weekend. And by the way, he's like the most handsome dude ever. You're like, it's what I always laugh and think is if motorsports wasn't so afraid of everyone like being successful, that notion of a rising tide raises all ships. Like, I personally think we should have FD events going on in between races or at race weekends where NASCAR is, because what an incredible show. We saw that when Global Rallycross first showed up before that guy Colin bricked the whole thing. How you doing, Rutledge Wood? And here's why I say that. He made deals with SMI and then never paid him. You can't make a deal with one of the two biggest track owners in the country and then stiff them. That's why they screwed that up. But I was at New Hampshire watching Tanner go over pit wall. Like, they had this super cool ramp.
Right.
Watching Pastrana. Every time Pastrana would hit the ramp, you're like, he's going to endo this thing. Like, he goes 10 feet farther than everyone else for no reason. But meanwhile, I'm standing on top of a trailer with Kyle Busch to my right, Greg Biffle, and Joey Logano was up there. And these guys were like, dude, I got to get a car. I have to get in there. And that's those moments where I was like, we all just want to go have fun and be silly in these cars and go put on the line. But again, that's the hard part of anything I realize is that people feel like, well, it's special to me. It's right over here. Yeah. But like, this could be great for everybody. Your fan base could be double. I mean, Taylor Hull is out there running a Dale Earnhardt tribute paint scheme on his ATS-V. Like, on
the roof. Yeah.
Dude, it's the greatest thing around. So I don't know, but I'm that kind of dork. But yeah, I love it and always have. So
Jeff Jones, right? You're thinking about
Jeff Jones. Thank you. Mike Jones. Jeff Jones. But like, Jeff to me is so much at heart and soul of someone that works his butt off.
Oh my God.
And gets better every year. But like, he's one of, like, that heart and determination that Jeff Jones has. That to me is what Formula D is about. Or knowing that, watching the way that Tanner raised the bar and Steph knew how to succeed. It was, I get that you want to be the fastest car out there, but we could bump the power down 150 horsepower and be way more reliable. And if you can work on your line, we can be successful together. And to have leadership like that, man, it pays off. And when you watch Freddie out there, you're like, dude, get ripped. This is awesome.
Yeah, one of our friends, Dai Yoshihara, he was at Formula Drift, but the previous weekend he was at Pikes Peak and he won all, unlimited. And
how about that?
Yeah, there's like, there's intermingling among disciplines, and I think there should be more of that, just like you say.
Absolutely. And when you watch someone like Dai get in like the Spoon Civic, and go put down hot laps in a center seat car, and then the next weekend he's in his drift car, and then he goes to Pikes Peak, and he wins. Like, dude, these are incredibly talented drivers that I just think we're so fortunate to get to see that level of talent the way we do.
Yeah. So you mentioned Hyperdrive. Let's talk about that. How did that even happen? I mean, what went on? What went down?
So I talked to Aaron and Chris, two producers who really masterminded this. And Aaron had these incredible ideas about, this is the stuff I want to build, and here's how we're going to do it. And to me, it sounded like my Hot Wheels dream come true. Like, as a kid, when you sit there and play and you're moving a car, it's everything that Hyperdrive was. And I had this, I was on the Hot Rod Power Tour in probably 2016, I'm going to guess, because I think we shot the show 18, aired in 19. Yeah, so let's say 2 years. And so they tell me about it, and I was like, guys, this sounds perfect. I'm in. I knew Tanner had helped with some of the stunts, so had Turk and Forsberg had helped with some of the design and stuff like that. So I didn't know who else was going to host, but I told them, I don't think anyone's going to give y'all enough money to make this show. But if they do, please call me. It sounds amazing. And 2 years later, they called me and said, hey, do you want to fly out here and kind of practice some commentary? So I met with a few people. And Mike Hill and Michael Bisbing is who they went with. My friend Lindsay Zarniak that did pit reporting. But the moment that you walked out there, you guys would have loved it because you look around and you're like, this is the most ridiculous thing I have ever seen. This is going to kick ass.
Yeah.
And the bummer is it costs so much money to make it. I don't think the show will ever come back because of that. I get the feeling that the show did well, but like Floor's Lava, we had like 37 million viewers in a month, which is insane. But you're casting a different net, right? Yeah. So I think for Hyperdrive, what will cause it to not come back is it's super expensive. And you probably could have done it smaller. They could have shot it in Georgia where I live and got some tax incentives, but they found this old Kodak factory. They thought it looked amazing and like post-apocalyptic, and they built the show that they wanted to. But the hard part for me was seeing the amount of talent that came from all over the world there, and wishing that we could get a handful of them back for a season 2 and see a new crop, because the people that inspired. There's also some racing series that are going on. I can't remember, like Adrenaline might be one, that are trying to sort of mimic that same sort of notion of let's do some stunts, let's go haul butt and go have fun in your car. So it was amazing.
It's like the mixed martial arts of cars, you know. You have all these
absolutely,
you know.
And y'all know, because you're real car people, here's what I can tell you. It wasn't just for us. And that's why some people were asking like, oh, why was this on there? Why'd you do that? I'm like, hey, it's meant to be entertainment, right? Like you can't have 3 people just like me up there, and you can't have 3 people that don't know anything. But there are people that drive Priuses that are like, hey, here's some copy for the voiceover. And you look at it and you're like, I can't say any of this stuff. And they're like, why not? I was like, okay, so let me help out. So this is an S13. And they're like, that doesn't sound sexy. I was like, I don't care what you think. That car's an S13 and it's got a 2JZ under the hood. And they're like, I don't know what that means. It's like, I know you don't. But if I don't say the truth, you have zero credibility. I'm the only car dork here. Yeah. You have to let me be a nerd and talk. Like, there's I think Fielding was on the line and the anti-lag's going off, and Michael and Mike look at me and they're like, oh God, is that bad, that noise? And I was like, no, it's hard to explain, but no, it's just fine. He's got launch control on there, it'll be good. And they're like, I don't know what that means. Like, okay. Turns out a lot of people don't, and it's easy for us to forget that stuff, but it was so much fun. The skill that people brought to that was just, I mean,
the balancing was, I think, really, really tough for a lot.
It was insane watching somebody like Atsushi Taniguchi get up there in that. I think it was in a Cresta, maybe that police car.
Yeah.
Toyota, dude, that guy rips. He is so talented. But to find that balance point, and then the moment that people would kind of get the hang of it, the next lap they would move it. So they kept moving where the ballast. I mean, stuff like that is insanely hard.
Yeah,
and people did a great job. I was really impressed.
That's really cool. Hey, let's talk a little bit about your garage.
I would love to. Oh my goodness!
Speaking of your garage, I think we have someone that could help us show what car you're working on right now.
This is so exciting. I'm so tickled by this right now in this moment.
Hi.
Hello, caller.
Hi. How are you?
Hey, Sean.
Oh, I'm good. Hi. Ladies and gentlemen, the world famous Sean Morris has joined.
and we also got Brian.
Hi, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
And Steve.
We lost James.
Hey, guys.
And we're gonna go check something out.
We got the whole crew from Top Rank.
Yeah, well, I mean, Jessica's not here, but we don't know where he is. I think he's probably surfing or something because that's what he likes doing. So,
can I tell you guys how I actually tell you how I know Sean? Because I think the proper channel to establish this on is actually Sean's much cooler than him wife, Merritt, who in the import tuner world back in the day was known as like, she was like the Mount Everest of babes, because she had the Type R swapped EK hatch and was just the coolest person, super nice. I meet her at an event years later, and then I think it was actually at the set of Top Gear, and then I see her like on a plane, and we somehow connected. But she's like, "Oh, this is my husband, Sean." And then Sean and I have become great friends. And he's also he's like an automotive drug dealer. He is an enabler in
That
the
is a
worst.
perfect description of him.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I bought a Typhoon because of this guy.
Yeah,
and then I was like, oh God, the transmission's gonna blow out of this thing. And Sean's like, no, that's how it drives. It's supposed to. I was like, I'm sorry, what? He's like, yeah, don't be such a jerk. Put your foot on the floor and hold on. And I was like, oh, this is cool. So yeah, that's how I know Sean. His wife Merritt is amazing, and yeah.
That's awesome. Hey, tell us about the story about this car that we're about to look at, Rutledge.
So
I don't know. We maybe. Hello.
Hi, we still got you. We can still hear you.
We can hear you, but we need some visuals, Sean.
Yeah, I know. Can you? I don't know how to. I don't know.
So Sean, there's a little button on there where you turn the camera on.
There it goes. Look at that magic.
Hey!
Now I'm actually here. So we have this thing. It's Midnight Purple. It's sort of ashy right now. You have to. There's a lot of ash going on here in SoCal. So, but it's this purple thing.
Can you show us the car? There you go. Thank you.
There you go.
Oh, there it is. So, yeah, we just want to see a whole. So, guys, this is my R33 GTR Midnight Purple that Sean and Brian Ayaska found. I went to go visit. Sean, of course, is like the GTR guru. He wanted me to get an R32, and I was like, "That's cool, bro. But what about its big sister? She's a little thicker. She's a little heavier. I'm interested in her." And so then they went to finding one, and they found this beautiful gem. Look at that. The kicker is I haven't seen the car in person because it came in like June, and the boys have had it. It went to Magnaflow, got a custom exhaust, and I've not seen it in person yet.
When are you going to pick it up?
Well, I'm trying to figure out, when am I going to pick that up? I'm trying to figure out like a crazy road trip. I think it'd be way more fun to drive it back. My friends at Fortune Auto sent me a beautiful set of coilovers over there because Sean said, you're a big guy. Like, this will beat you up after a while. And I was like, hold one sec, I'll fix that. So I also sent in a set of Continental tires, Extreme Contact Sports out there. So what I really want to do is fly out, crash at Tanner's for a couple of days, and then have an epic road trip back. So we're going to see if that happens.
That would be awesome. Hey, show us the new exhaust.
I have a real question. Actually, can you move the car forward so I can have Wi-Fi still? I have a real question. Are we keeping these wheels, or are you going to change the wheels? Because I do have tires, but I don't want to do it twice.
Sean, you'll watch your mouth when you're talking to me in front of other people. All right. First off, we're friends. You know I'm going to keep those wheels. Second, you look great. Thanks for your help with this. So it's got these really cool. They're not Advans. What are they?
Oh, they're Apex.
That's right. They're Apex.
Original, they're like original. Somebody is like, those are going to be so cool.
Ooh, look at that exhaust. I love it.
Isn't that cool? So that is Craig Lieberman connected the dots for us the other day. Did you see that? So that was a Magnaflow titanium line that they made and didn't really end up producing. I think they only made a handful of them. But there was this R30 Ford that they used for a video game. And Craig was sharing the story about it the other day. But he was at Magnaflow and the director when they made those. But my buddy Richard Wade said, yeah, we'll make an exhaust for you. It'll be super cool. It's got this new setup on there where it takes all the resonance out so it doesn't have any crazy drone, but it looks awesome. And then I knew when Sean texted me, he was like, okay, this sounds great. I really dig it. Then I was like, oh, we did do something cool here. This is great.
Hey, is that original paint?
Oh, it's purple.
Hey, Sean, is that about the same purple as the R34?
No, so this is the original Midnight Purple. So this is a really highly desired color. The purple color. It's a real deep. I don't know if you can really see it on the camera or anything,
Yeah,
because it's a real deep dark purple. And so, it's called midnight purple because like some guy who we know maybe is involved with some car club called Midnight that may or may not have some influence on whether or not this is called midnight purple.
Mm-hmm.
Although I'll just keep being very ambiguous about why it's called midnight purple. So,
Congratulations, Rutledge. That's a beautiful car.
You see here, like you can see the purple in there.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
So depending on the light and all that, otherwise it looks like a lot of, it looks almost black if you're looking here, right? So depending on where the sun is and where how it reflects light. But this is probably the most question color we get. Definitely, most people want the midnight purple. And then, the R34 had midnight purple 2 and midnight purple 3.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got it.
And so anyway, this is the original midnight purple, and it's sort of ashy out here. Sorry, Rutledge.
You can't see it though.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah, it doesn't even show up on camera at all.
Yeah.
Are you gonna go thrash this thing once we get the tires and coilovers on there and really shake it down for me, or what?
I can, or I mean, if that's what you'd like, or but yeah, no, the coilovers will be soon, and the tires. Like I said, I had to question whether or not we're gonna keep these, or if because for a second I remember you mentioning something about different wheels, and that was all. I just want to make sure I don't go and do something twice. So.
Well, you're sweet. To be fair, I have dreamed of this car for so long, and I, of course, envisioned it on bronze bulk TE37s because Ray's makes my dreams come true. So that's mentally where I am, but I also want to have the car.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we have some other stuff. I mean, some other cars around in here. Some other
There's the Lotus, yes.
Other things. Anyway, all right. Well, I think it was nice talking to you guys, and I don't want to interrupt you too much. Just something kind of cool. Taro decided, and I thought it might be cool to see your car again.
Dude, I love it. Thank you for showing us and showing the boys.
Thanks for the.
I can't wait to have that thing here, dude. I love it.
Thanks for the report, Sean.
Hey, Rutledge, I have this sense of like someone seeing their baby for the first time from jail.
Is it the face sweat? Can you tell? I'm like,
it is. It's the sweat. Sweating. It's the sweat. Yeah.
Dude, it's like it's like if Tiffany Amber Thiessen said, "Do you want to go to dinner?" Like that's what this feels like. Bye, Sean. Thank you, brother. Here's what's so cool is that I went to go visit. Sean, of course, y'all know is a great guy and friend to so many people. But I said, "Hey, I'm looking for this car. Maybe you can help me." And then he and Brian sit down and they're like, yeah, we'll find exactly what you want. And we talked about the condition and all the different things. But, the way Sean is so connected to the world of importing and exporting cars, his whole family is. But what's so funny to me is he's an incredible car chief, crew chief, but he is a hell of a driver. Like that guy, there's nothing he really can't do, and as a veteran, like he's just one of my favorite people around. But so cool that I went to them and said, this is what I'm thinking. This is my dream car. And they said, sure, let's go find you one. So I went to go drive an R32 with him years ago in Long Beach. And it scared me so much that I was like, no, I'm good. I don't need one. And someone's like, wait, why'd that scare you? Now at the time I had the old DTA Rogue Status Scion XB that was had a 2JZ converted rear wheel drive that Papa Doc built. Yeah, incredible car. Had like 450 to the rear wheels for the record. It was stupid fast and loud and so much fun. But when you move to the right-hand side, a lot of people think like, oh, it must just be easy. It's not a mirror image. It's also crooked, right? Because everything that I know, that close mirror and how I feel about my far mirror, that proximity doesn't flip-flop the same way. And so Sean is ripping the hell out of this car through Long Beach, y'all. And the whole time I'm like, there's nothing for me to hold on to. How am I gonna break this kind of mental barrier? And I have a little K-van. I have a little Suzuki Every that I got at Japanese Classics in Richmond. And that's funny because slow, no big deal. Like you still got to figure out where you are in the lane. It does change a little bit. But I'm so excited about that car. It is a car that I have just loved for so long. But I say that I'm also building a Mark IV Supra that one day will get finished, and that truly is like that's my top of the mountain dream car. 6-speed twin turbo. It'll be rad. But then I'm building a drift truck too. That's a Toyota Hilux pickup because I'm again total dork. I can't stop. But at some point, I keep buying cars, building them, then selling them, and doing okay. So I keep like, oh, I should do more of that. At some point, I realized I can only drive one at a time.
Yeah.
And this is enough. So yeah, I just want to do a couple things with GTR, probably change the wheels, and then just drive it. You know what I mean? Like after the coilovers, exhaust, and tires, like what else do you need? It's perfect.
Hey, Rutledge, down by your neck of the woods, there isn't that many right-hand drive cars driving around. You're going to really, really attract a lot of attention, aren't you?
I think so, man. It's a funny thing. There are some people that I think really get it, and then there's a handful of other people that are just confused by it. So Atlanta has definitely had a bigger import scene. But, back in the day, like by the time that I'm trying to think of a good way to explain it, but like if y'all would have Hondas, it would take 3 years before the East Coast was into Hondas. So by the time the East Coast got into Hondas, y'all were into BMWs, and then y'all got out of BMWs and went to VWs and Audis. So the way that things would move, those trends were so cyclical that I think a lot of the right-hand drive stuff, like we've got ATL JDM as a new importer, and they're really nice folks. So they're bringing some cool cars in. Japanese Classics for the East Coast has done so many cars and make it super easy. And so that's what I love about, Sean and Top Rank and what they do there. Brian, those guys, they hustle, man. They to know like, hey, this is the car I'm looking for. And then cool, I'll just start searching in another country for you. We'll start watching auctions. Yeah. And they would send me different cars and say, what do you think about this one? I just was like, this is insane how this works. And then we got a car and it got on a boat and now it's here. So it's wild to see. But, I got a Toyota Century limo from Sean years ago. And that was like my first real experience. I think that was the first right-hand drive car that I owned.
Oh, you actually bought a Century?
And it might be the nicest car I've ever owned.
Oh yeah, that thing is a V12. I mean, that thing is amazing. They still use government official cars in Japan still. So
right. And the one I had was mine was a V8, but it was a Hemi V8, which is so weird. Yeah, it was super weird. It was a 90 Century limo. It looked like the Yakuza might have used it at some point. It was so badass. 2 seats would recline, had a big middle console.
What color was it?
Had a divider. It was gray, kind of a gunmetal color. It's now in Arizona, and the guy I sold it to built some super cool bag Lexuses and stuff. He's got a Japanese body kit that he stretched for it to make fit on there. It's airbag. It is so ridiculous. I love the car. But yeah, I also really want a Figaro and a POW. And at some point I feel like I should just have the Figaro convertible. Is so hilarious. Tanner and I drove one when we went to go look at GTRs earlier this year. Yeah. But the POW, especially in like the funky orange or green, like I think everyone should have one. They're slow and they're fun. Why not?
I can imagine you driving your family around and a Figaro or a POW, around your hometown.
I'm telling you, of all the weird cars I have, that K-Van, my Suzuki Every, is my daughter's favorite. It could be because it has the best stereo. Like it's like driving a boombox.
That's awesome. Are you were you planning on building a new car for SEMA this year? I know you did some stuff with Toyota in the past with the Supras.
Yeah, we built some Supras. So we've been trying to build. Do y'all remember the old campers called a Chinook? It was like a Toyota front that had a. Yeah, it was an RV. Some of them had like a
70s or 80s, weren't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, they were jamming. But I've always had this idea, like, why don't we build something like that on take a 4-door Tacoma or a Tundra and make a new kind of style Chinook and make it like actually perform and handle. So I don't know if we'll get that chance. We've talked about it for years. I know there's going to be a new Tundra that's coming at some point. But there's the Chinook. Yeah,
look at those. Got it.
Top. I mean, come on.
Well,
how
this
cool would
is
that
the
be?
first time I heard this word Chinook since the car was out. So we're talking. I thought this thing was long gone, buried, and forgotten.
That's pretty
Man,
awesome.
they're-
though.
Bringing it back,
on
huh,
a-
Rutledge?
Oh yeah, dude, I'm on a group on Facebook of people that love Toyota RVs, and man, you wouldn't believe some of these are in such nice condition. You know, if they were saved in a barn or something, people pay crazy money for them, but
Oh,
there's
really?
just something cool about it. And I'd love to see one. I also have that weird thing where like I'd love to see one of these on airbags and just aired out. That's the mini trucker still in me, but yeah, these things are cool. So yeah, I'm not going to get to build anything for SEMA this year. I am building right now. I sold my old step van, the hot rod one that we used on Lost in Transmission, and it was so big and could tow anything, but I couldn't fit it in any garage. So I'm building a 62 step van, and this one had a Chrysler. You know, the old Grummans, the way they would make the body is they would just make the body and they would put it on whatever frame Ford, Chevy, or Chrysler in this case had. So it had an old slant six. And it was a shorty, but it was a dually, and somebody had used it at this marina in Ohio called Beaver Park Marina. There's a big beaver on either side, so I've named the van Winona from that Primus song. But it's gonna be we cut up an S10 frame and stretched it out and put Ride Tech Air Ride on there. We ended up doing. I basically threw it out to like Instagram and said, "Hey, what should I do here?" I of course like 2J all day. I'd love to put a 2JZ in anything, but I knew it would be a little bit more work. For the record, I wanted to put one in the RWB, but I couldn't find anybody to help me make a mount kit, which is why I went with the LS3 in my RWB. And if you think it was sacrificial to do that, I really wish I could have done the 2J. That would have been it would have been like the most hated and loved RWB at the same time. But anyway, we did a SRT8 charger swap, so it's a 6.1 liter that's in there, and I think it would be cool. Forge line, we sent them all the wheel measurements today. I don't want to paint the outside. I think we're just gonna let stuff kind of flake off, but I'm pumped about that thing. It's gonna look good, and it'll. I think the body will be on the ground when you air it out, which is kind of funny. But I just wanted something that would be fun, slow and low, and I don't know why. My grandpa had a delivery van like that, so that's why I can't get enough of those.
I can see the internet will love that.
Rutledge,
I think. Sorry, go ahead, Sam.
Oh, I was going to say, which kind of cars right now out there today impress you right now?
Well, I know it gets a lot of hate because it was a BMW co-build, but I really do love the Supra. The A90 and 91 they're just cool cars, man. I love them. I think it's a ton of power, but you got to keep in mind, like, I would never buy a Z4, so I don't really care like who helped build it. I also think if you look at the FRS and the BRZ, what a great car. Like, it's such a fun car to go drive. And I got why people said, oh, it could use more power. Yeah, but almost anything could, number one. Number two, my old Hachi that I had was a supercharged 4AGE that Tyler, my friends at Koru Works in Atlanta built. It still could have been faster. Like, I don't think that's enough of it. I ended up with one of the cars from the Pro Celebrity Race, and I took all the decals off and is now a street car. But so I love that. Is it the Hakone? Is that how you say it? The green?
The green?
Hakone? Yeah, man.
Hakone green.
Dude, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'd take one of those all day. Like, that to me will always be a great driving car. It's super fun. Puts a smile on your face. All the power you need. I'm trying to think what else that I really like. It is cool to see how much power cars are getting. I still I'm not a Camaro guy, and I don't think I ever could be. But what you can get in like the 1LE and the ZL1, like, I get why people love them. Look how much power a Mustang will make these days. Like,
my God.
It's gnarly. But I still know, every time I get to go visit Tanner and ride in the GT3, I realize it's a pretty incredible car. I definitely get it. I don't get why you pay as much for a house as you would a car, but that's, maybe it's just me. But
the GT3, I drove that for a while. It's hard to live with, man, because that thing is so stiff. I mean, it rides so stiff that I'm going, yeah, great on the track, great to have fun, but everyday driver, I couldn't do it,
Yeah, when you're pushing the gas, time of your life, but when you're sitting in a light, you're like, oh my
Yeah, or going slow over a bumpy road. Oh God, it's like hell.
Oh, it's too much. So, but keep in mind, I was driving my Sienna today because I've got kids, and I'm oddly dad pumped for the new Toyota Sienna. I can't wait to get a cool set of wheels on.
You are a
mine.
Toyota spokesman today. I'm going to move you off of Toyota, man.
Dude. The
What?
swagger wagon, you can't act if you've got kids, number one, if you've got kids and you don't have a minivan, I just want to know, like, who are you trying to lie to? It's way easier. Life is so much easier in a minivan. It's the most comfortable thing we own. It gets the best gas mileage. Like, I get why my friends don't want to drive minivans, and then they like want to ride in mine. I'm like, yeah, that's mine. I'm going to tell you I bought it for my wife, but she doesn't drive it. I drive it. So, but also I've got an 84 Toyota van wagon in the driveway known as the Rad Van. So yeah, I've always loved vans. I've always loved Toyotas. People movers are where it's at. But so at Coru Works right now is my 94 Toyota pickup, which has a 1JZ twin turbo under the hood. We redid the turbos.
Oh my God.
And I'm really excited about that. So the bed was so beat up, and I don't know if y'all have this problem because y'all are all in California, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So first off, there's a billion Toyotas out there, so y'all don't have to maybe worry about junkyard as much as I do. But the beds they get so beat up out here, and then we have rust. So I started looking, how could I make like the bed better? I don't want to buy a complete used one because it looks as bad as mine. Mm-hmm. So I got fiberglass fenders from, I think it was Fiberworks. So it's like a Baja kind of a setup. So it's a higher arch on there, but they're like 4 inches wider on the back, so we can run crazy wide wheels. We ended up running a S14 rear subframe underneath it. I think we're going to run a S13 front subframe under there because we can't get enough angle out of it. God. I just wanted something that was insane, but my thing was like, it has to have air conditioning because we live in Georgia. Yeah. But I can't take it.
Rutledge, what were those people? I think it was Hyperdrive who were saying you. What the heck are you talking about? I don't understand.
Yeah, it's too much, man.
S13, S14's on a truck. What are you doing?
Yeah. Well, it's tough because
I know what those guys at Hyperdrive are going through now. What the hell are you talking about?
What are you talking about? I know it doesn't make sense that I wanted a 94 Toyota pickup with like bass boat sparkle metal flake to it that would get sideways at the pickup line, but turns out that's what I wanted. So we're making it. The purple seats that I got some of those cool NRG purple buckets. If you haven't seen they have the pink too, but I know I get the pink dirty.
You like purple?
I think I love purple. It's my favorite color. I think that's why Tara's wearing the shirt. It's just the greatest. My Tundra, did y'all see my wide body purple? We called it the Fundra. I just sold that. The same guy that bought it, by the way, has my Blurple Camry that we built for SEMA when the new Camry came out in 2018. The same guy ended up with them. But I love purple. Like, it's just, there it is. Yeah. There she blows.
Well, that's a little different purple than your GTR purple. Huh?
Not quite midnight purple. But.
It's not quite midnight purple. I can't wait for that story sometime. But yeah, this is well, you're good at the computer, James.
I try.
Look at that. You got the GTR out there already.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yes, I put that picture up there. It's silly, man. I just like car totes. And my buddy Rodney Scott, y'all might have seen him on the new
barbecue show. Was excellent. Looking forward to going tasting it. Scott's
yeah,
barbecue.
dude. Yeah, you need to go see it, man. It's that's on, what is it? Chef's Table is his show. What an incredible show, man. They did such a nice job. But Rodney was on Southern and Hungry with us. We became friends that way, and just such a great guy. Mm-hmm. But if y'all have never had whole hog barbecue, it's worth flying to Charleston and going to his place and just diving in.
Wow. And tell us about your new barbecue show. What's going on?
Oh yeah. September 18th. It's called American Barbecue Showdown. It's funny, when we shot it, we called the show Smoked, but I don't think it translates into every language. But yeah, American Barbecue Showdown starts September 18th on Netflix. It's really neat. We got 8 of the country's best amateurs, so backyard barbecuers, cookers, and we basically just decided to have this big throwdown. We shot it in Georgia last summer.
Okay, wow.
Last summer, a year ago. Wow, that's a while back.
Yes, it's funny, man. I'm sure the timing can be different. Like, if we did another season of Flora's Lava, they could probably turn out quicker. But Netflix is really they're very particular in how they want stuff. What I can tell you guys is visually, this thing is stunning. Like, it's the best looking show I've ever been a part of. My parents have a barbecue restaurant called Katie Lou's Cafe.
Oh, wow.
That's 10 minutes from here down in Sonoy. So I've always grown up around food and cooking, and that's how I ended up doing Southern and Hungry. My buddy Guy Fieri was the one that produced that. And so when we did that, and then after I did Hyperdrive, Netflix said they wanted to do another show, and they wondered if I wanted to do something like this. I said, oh, absolutely. So what's cool is that you can see people do stuff that we can do at home, but then they also did like a crazy, one of the shows has a bunch of wild stuff. So they did like possum and raccoon and all sorts of things that none of us would normally be like, oh, we should try that. But it was incredible, man.
Did you eat
great
it?
Time. I did. I ate a lot of weird stuff on this one.
What does possum taste like? It doesn't sound very
Like
appetizing.
chicken. Like chicken.
And did you learn any tips from Kevin Bloodsoe then as well, being your
Oh my
co-host?
God.
Yeah,
dude.
Legend.
Bloodsoe. Big Kev is awesome. And
Legend.
First off, my man's hilarious. Like he will joke around about anything, anytime. Like he's just crazy. But has such a great style. Melissa Cookston, of course, like queen of Memphis barbecue, has so much knowledge. Lyric Lewis was my co-host, and she's been on Mad TV and AP Bio. She's amazing. She had a great time. So it's fun. My favorite part was I had like day one, we're sitting on the back of this pickup truck, and they want us to have a drink. And I was like, sweet tea or water or something. I was like, cool. Give me a red Solo cup. And they were like, why? I was like, because every time we're sitting around the smoker, we got a red Solo cup. So we did it. And the next day, they're like, we can't do that anymore because you guys all look like you're drinking. And I was like, what do you think we do when we're sitting by a smoker with a brisket on it for hours? Like, it's what people do. They sit around and drink. But it was, man, it's so much fun. So I hope you guys will dig in and check that out. And when people ask, like, are we going to do more Hyperdrive? I was like, I don't know, but if you watch this barbecue show, we got a shot at it.
Hey, how many episodes per season?
I think we did 8 shows of this.
8? The first one?
Yeah.
Awesome.
And it was cool. It's just, what's so fun when you get to do anything. It's the same reason I think I loved Hyperdrive so much. There are some incredible professionals out there, but when you get to see amateurs and people that are passionate about this thing that they do and they just do it because they love it, there's just something that feels so good about that existence,
Yeah. That's great.
Rutledge, how'd you keep the pounds off while you were doing this? I mean, I see Guy Fieri doing his stuff with the the diners and all his stuff. I'm going, how do these guys not get freaking
300 pounds eating
some kind of disease, high blood pressure?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Sam, I would say to watch the first show of Top Gear, and then you'll be like, oh. Yeah, dude, I was a little bit of a thicker.
Oh no, but during this, you kept it off, right? During this.
Well, here's what happened. When you do a show like that and people are like, "Hey, you're fat, you're stupid," you're like, "I survived 8th grade. I don't really need strangers' opinions." You get through that, but then one day you wake up as an adult and you're like, "My pants are tight, and I don't think I want them to be. I should do something about that." So I have just tried to work real hard at eating better and definitely way more veggies and things like that. So it's funny how doing a show like this, I also learned like I can taste this much and tell you about it. I don't have to eat everything they make. So that helped. But man, it's a struggle, especially, like my parents' barbecue restaurant. I got to be careful if I go in there, like you can leave 5 pounds heavier every single time you go.
Yeah, I don't know how you do that.
Really, it could taste so good, but you were disciplined enough to say, okay, that's it. Thank you. All right.
I had to. I mean, part of it was
that is willpower, man.
Well, think of it this way too. I learned this doing guys' grocery games. They would bring you a plate, and round 1 is 4 chefs on guys' grocery games, and so you come by and they bring you a thing, right? And so I'm going to try 4 different dishes, which all have multiple components, and that's round 1. And there's 2 more rounds.
That's what I mean. How do you guys do it?
You just gotta get in, get out. And a lot of those days, especially doing guys' grocery games, anytime I've done that, I didn't have breakfast and I wouldn't eat dinner because they stretch it out over a day and you do like 1.5 shows. So you might do, 3 different things and then you'd start another one, come back the next morning, vice versa. So you just have to be really good. The worst one for me was the final show, the 2 contestants. that made it to the finale, made whole hog. And whole hog barbecue is so fascinating, so different because you're cooking literally the entire hog at one time.
Okay.
And everything has different fat ratios from where they are on the pig, but how you season it, how it comes to temperature, all of those things are different. And then the idea, especially if you see like Chef's Table with Rodney Scott, like James said, it's so incredible to see how it all comes together and you get this totally different flavor out of there. That day was real hard for me. Every time I would walk by, because it was still like they left a ton on there.
Yeah.
You're like, well, I mean, the fire is mostly out, but that meat's definitely good. I'm just gonna have a little taste.
You got to be really disciplined to be on a show like that.
You absolutely do. It's so fun though.
Yeah, same with car shows, right? You're in this business, and you're like, oh, maybe I should start a new project, and you're like, I'll get some parts from here, and it just keeps on going and going. It never stops.
You're telling me one of my favorite cars I have is because of Top Gear. I've got a 2013 Cadillac CTSV wagon because I drove it on the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it just was one of my favorite. You know, I got 3 daughters. I used to have Buick Roadmasters, and now my buddy Dax Shepard, who's hosting the new Top Gear.
Yeah.
You know, Dax has one of my favorites. It has an LSA in it, but he needs the gearbox that's in mine, I think, because he let me drive it. The best part, last time I was out there, I had dinner with him, and after dinner, he's like, do you want to go drive the wagon? I was like, yeah, let's go check it out. His sister's in the back seat. So we pull out where they live, and it's like a neighborhood, and I am foot to the floor in this sucker with the LSA, you know, here boosting up. And the whole time I was like, what gearbox in here? Because I feel like second gear's hanging up. He's like, I feel like second gear's hanging up a little bit too. And I think it's like he had a, this is where the GM parts come in. It was I can't remember right now. But it's 5-speed auto. I think he needs a 6-speed auto, which is what mine is. I wanted the 6-speed manual wagon, but I didn't want to pay the $15,000 overcharge that people were paying. And then kicker is Rachel, my wife, pointed out that when I drove them on the show, I said that the car shifts so fast that it's not a big disparity time-wise between the manual and auto like there had been so many times before. I found this when I was leaving Brazil. I'd been down there for the Summer Olympics in 2016. I've been gone a month, mind you. I barely know my name at this point. It's a midnight 30 flight to come home. Mm-hmm. And this guy going down the airplane's like, hey, man, bought my car because of you. And I was like, oh, I do not have the energy to talk to someone about cars right now. And I was like, oh, that's cool, man. That's cool. And I was like, you got to ask. It's finally, I was like, all right, what'd you get? And he's like, oh, I got a CTSV wagon. I was like, oh, man, good for you. That's one of my favorites.
By the way, we call them the states here.
Yeah, right? Like,
right, James?
He said
we don't like using the word wagon or state wagon.
Of course not. So the guy says, well, yeah, I just leased it. I'm about to turn it back in. I was like, I'm sorry, you leased it? And he's like, yeah. So what color is it? He said white with the black Recaros. I was like, can I get your email address? He's like, yeah, no problem, Adam. And I was like, this guy thinks I'm Adam Ferrara, number one. Number two, he's going to get an email from me, not Adam. But anyway, so I ended up getting that car from the Hendrick dealership that he got it. And they sent me pictures once they, like, procured it from him. And I was like, why did they put – because I asked him, I was like, is it 6-speed or automatic? He's like, oh, 6-speed. So they sent me pictures. I was like, yo, this thing's chopped up. It's got an automatic gauge cluster and a manual car. It's not a manual. You jerks. But that's when Rachel said, you said it was fast enough that you could handle either one. And I was like, okay. She said, so were you lying to the camera then? Or are you lying to yourself now? And I was like, you know what?
Wow.
That's a great point. I'll take it. And I got such a good deal.
Keeping you honest, man. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Living with 4 women is a ride. I tell you what.
You have 3 daughters?
Mm-hmm.
Whoa, okay.
2 daughters and the wife.
Oh, 2 daughters.
I've got 3 daughters.
Oh, 3 daughters.
So it's.
Hey, Rutledge, I think the next one will be a boy. Keep trying.
Now we're good. Backseat of my Tundra's full. We're going to call it on that. I didn't want to drive a Suburban. I was good with a truck. So
yeah, you have to upgrade to a Suburban if you have one.
You
more.
have to.
Yeah.
Or drive a minivan.
Or
there you go.
Ford Transit or, a Sprinter or something like that.
Something. Or a 62 step van.
Yeah.
I got weird stuff. Hopefully they can all fit in the GTR. Well, one might have to stay home. We'll work on that.
That's going to be tough.
That's going to be.
Yeah,
That's good.
that's true.
Hey, well, Rutledge, thanks for coming on our show. It's been a riot. Congratulations on your success and everything. Keep on going, man. Thanks for.
Thank you guys so much. Y'all
Thanks for joining
are
us.
so awesome. Oh, there's the 911. Thanks, James. Look at you with all your.
Look,
fancy
we're just
stuff.
trying here, and there's your Twitter, just to make sure.
There's the Twitter.
Yeah.
Right?
There's the Facebook.
It's funny. If someone sees this and they're like, does he have the website, therutledgewood.com? I just want you to know I'm not a D-bag, but I couldn't buy rutledgewood.com because it's a wood flooring company in Denton, Texas, and they won't sell me the website. So,
Oh, and I'll bet you the guy's last name is Rutledge.
yes.
Yeah, there you go.
So your two last name thing
Yes.
really pays off.
I told you.
Hey, y'all are so awesome. Thanks for having me. Letting me.
Thank
do
you.
this.
Looking forward to the barbecue show. Everyone
Well,
who's
thanks.
watching, listening, please tune in. Netflix. Everyone has Netflix. It should be
Yes.
awesome. No, but there's no car stuff in there, right? It's
Not well. We're sitting in the back of an old truck.
okay.
I mean,
That'll work, man.
It kind of counts. I mean, I tried to get every old car in the show that I had. They're like, we're good, man. I was like, no, I'll drive it out there. You really, please don't do it. It's not going to happen. But
Katie
y'all are awesome. Thank you guys for having me. I sure appreciate it. Let's do it
Anita,
again
Katie Lou's
sometime.
Cafe. All right. Hey, Rutledge, thanks, buddy.
Y'all are the
Thanks,
best pluggers around. This was amazing.
That's what we do, man.
All right, boys. See y'all. Thanks for having me.
man. See you.
Thanks for having me.
James, your house looks amazing. Don't touch a thing.
All right, I'll try to tell them. Make
It
sure
was
to
an
tell the
IKEA.
wife.
Yes. Or the maid at Marriott where you're staying. Either one. It
Okay,
looks great.
All right, I'll
Don't
let her
touch
know.
a thing. Sam, Taro, thank you guys. Appreciate y'all.
Yeah.
See you, boys.
Bye. Thanks. Well, that was fun.
James gets the huge compliment on his little bedroom.
Well, what can I say, Sam? You've been deriding me this whole time, and now it's thankfully we've got someone with taste has come on board.
Well, your bed is made today. Your bed is made today.
The bed's made every single time.
I don't know. It looks specially made today. like you didn't do it.
Oh my word!
So, anyways, hey, great job with the images, James. That was boom. You know, what I mean,
I tried.
even Rutledge was.
So speaking with that, Sam, we're going straight to you so I can get your
Are we
images
going
up.
to meet? Are we going to meet Taro? Or?
Let's go, Sam. Yeah.